Buffet.
And we've got a ton of stuff to get into. We will dip our toe into the world of hockey. Don't think I'm asinine enough to go 2 full hours on this station and not talk about the Canucks and Elias Pettersson and everything that is good in the world of the Vancouver Canucks, who are 500 4 games into the season. Gents, I don't know about you, because I wasn't paying a whole lot of attention to it, but if you would have told me that the Canucks would have been 2-2 through 4 games, I would have questioned your sobriety. But here they are. 2-2. Line the route.
It's early.
Duh. I mean, it's super early.
It's early. They're not making the playoffs. Sure, it looks good. Young guys are doing well. Pettersson in particular, but every win is 1 win away from Jack Hughes, so I don't think it's a good night if you're a Canuck fan.
4 games in, and you get Besser and Pettersson scoring on the same night, and it's a bad night because you're thinking about Quinn Hughes?
Not
or
Quinn
Quinn,
Hughes.
sorry.
The brother, who's the real player.
The man's got a point.
Who is that? Andy Cole? You're already chiming in?
There's 2 places to finish, first and last. They ain't finishing first. Do the best you can to finish last.
You are the Grinch that stole this show, and we're only 3 minutes old. All right, now, KP, let's all get into this today. Lots going on. We're going to get, of course, into both the American League Championship Series and the National League Championship Series. We'll do that over the course of the next couple of hours, but we are going to start with a couple of stories that have come forward today. Now, it has already been denied, but I think it's interesting because Chris Bryant of the Chicago Cubs apparently was offered a contract in excess of $200 million to stay with the Cubs for the next decade. Now, the early report, which came from a pretty reputable source in Bleacher Report, said that it happened. Now there's other people saying, we're not sure. But Chris Bryant is one of the big 4 that's coming onto the free agent market this year. Niall, is he the bench setter? Is it Manny Machado the bench setter? And is $200 million the going rate for a player like Chris Bryant?
Well, I guess Chris Bryant right now trying to play a bit of the waiting game here, but Machado, Harper, I think those are the guys who are going to be setting the benchmark, and maybe Chris Bryant right now, he wants to see how the market plays out. He wants to see maybe what those guys get until that happens. Then I don't think you're going to see Chris Bryant make a move. And really, I guess if you're Chris Bryant right now, you're still kind of holding all the cards. And I also think in a way that perhaps maybe Chris Bryant might be taking a little bit of revenge for the fact that the Cubs did delay his service time. And who knows, maybe Bryant's trying to get back at Cubs management that way too.
Okay, well, KP, let me ask you this, because Chris Bryant, for my money, even though he's got great numbers and he's, the future, I think he should sign that. I mean, if somebody offered that to him, I would take it, because Chris Bryant's numbers are down, and I'm starting to see some separation from the cream, the Mike Trouts of the world, the Bryce Harpers of the world, and Chris Bryant. Everybody thought that Bryant was the big thing. I think if he has one more bad season, he takes himself out of that $25 million a year classification.
Absolutely, Rob. It's always a big risk when you have a contract being offered to you and the dollars make sense. You're set for life. Your family's set for life. But if you don't take it, you run the risk of, like you said, Rob, having a bad season, and the contract's going to be gone. The offer is going to be gone. I mean, you're going to get something less. But I question what are his long-term plans. Does he want to stay in Chicago? Is he happy there? Is his family happy being there? So lots of questions, I guess, to think about if you're going to sign a long-term deal. But if that were me, I would take it. But I'm sure there are other circumstances surrounding his decision.
Now you got to remember, this is the I guess you would say the extension, because he is under control by the Chicago Cubs, and I want to say through 2022. So they've got at least 3 more years of control. He'll only be 30. But last year, Bryant received just shy of $11 million in salary, which, if you remember, was a record for any first-year arbitration-eligible player. So he is the 2016 MVP. He's a 2-time All-Star, but he was injured this year. Part of the reason the numbers were down. So for me, we hear this report of the Cubs willing to go 10 years and, $200 million. Would you do that on a guy that's having a subpar year? Would you wait it out knowing that you have the control? Why are the Cubs rushing the situation?
Well, I mean, I imagine that they're probably rushing the situation because they want to make sure that if he comes back healthy and has another year like he had a couple of years ago, the price is going to go up. Now, 8 years, $200 $100 million. I mean, if I'm him, I'm signing that in a second because anything can happen. But I mean, Mike Trout a couple of years ago signed an 8-year deal for, I believe it was 160 something, which was unbelievably undervalued. But it took care of all of his arbitration years and the first 3 years, I believe, of his free agency. And they're probably just trying to do the same thing.
Are they trying to beat Bryce Harper's contract to the finish line? Because Bryce Harper, let's say he sets the bar and goes to 280 or 290. Then all of a sudden, Chris Bryant comes back. He's healthy. Everything's good. Now all of a sudden he says, $2 million or $200 million. You're about $85 million shy of what that guy right there got. Now I've got, Bryce Harper numbers. I should get that pay. So I almost feel like, to answer my own question, they're trying to beat that mega contract to the finish line because they know it's going to cost them probably another $50 to $75 million down the road.
And another thing to consider as well, that Bryant's agent is Scott Boras. So I think Scott Boras is saying, probably giving him the advice, hey, let's slow down here. Let's see how things play out. And really, I think Bryant, again, just holding all the cards. He can get healthy. And again, he's not going to be a free agent until 2021. Or after the 2021 season, so he's got time and he can wait it out.
All right, so all of us here in Vancouver had a chance to see the Raptors a couple of weeks ago. They were here for an exhibition game. Now they've recently played a game in Montreal, and so everybody in the Canadian media has started to say, "Boy, the NBA would sure look good in," say it with me, Montreal. You get the baseball comparables because they've had a franchise. You get the basketball comparisons because they have a ready-made arena. They're ready to go if the NBA ever came knocking. But is Montreal, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't see Montreal as... I don't know. I don't see them as an NBA market. I don't see them as a Major League Baseball market. And I know that there's a faction of fans out there. They're going to tell me to stick it up my where. But I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, why is it that every time there's an exhibition game that rolls through Montreal, we got to go through the dog and pony show of, boy, they should have this team. And why aren't they in the NBA? And why isn't the NFL here? Where's Major League Baseball? I mean, that to me drives me bonkers. And it actually does a disservice to the Montreal-based fan who's sitting there saying, look, man, we don't have this team. We didn't support the Expos when they were there. So, it's on us.
Montreal, actually, if you go back into the way back time machine, they were actually a very, very big basketball city in Canada before the Steve Nash kind of blew it up across the country. Most of the prime players, basketball players, did actually come out of Quebec. Now, that doesn't mean Montreal can support a basketball team. I don't think they can, but they definitely do have a basketball following there. There's a lot of cities that don't have teams that actually do have a very, very strong, historical basketball background, and Montreal does. I mean, if you look at Vancouver, say, opposed to Montreal, Vancouver's basketball, heritage really only goes back about 25 years, talking about Steve Nash and of course, Jay Triano and things like that. But Montreal goes back a long, long way prior to that. Still don't think they can support the team, but there are definitely some hardcore basketball fans in Montreal.
I would think that if you're talking about decades ago, generations ago, then perhaps the young fans today probably wouldn't be that much of a basketball fan. And I do agree that I don't see Montreal being a good market for basketball. They are known for a long time as a hockey town. Hockey's a religion in Montreal, and just other sports can come, but they would just not be the same as the Canadians. And is there going to be a lot of support enough to keep a team sustainable there? I just don't see that happening.
Okay, well, let's geography-wise take them out of the equation really quickly and just get back to baseball. Are they going to bitch and moan about not having baseball until now they get baseball back? Are we going to have to go through this every single time that a pro team comes through Montreal? Oh, we got to get the Expos back, or this team's on the ropes, so got to go to Montreal. Like, is this ever going to end, or is it going to finally stop when they get their team?
No, I don't think it's going to end. I think Montreal fans, I think they want their team back, but, I think the big thing is they have to get a new ballpark. Olympic Stadium, I was there once, the final year, 2004, and it's not a great stadium to watch a game in, and the seats were uncomfortable as anything I've sat in before.
Well, come on, do what BC Place did. Spend $600 million of your taxpayers' money and refurbish the Big O again. For me, here's my problem with it, and I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer here. I just sit here and I say to myself, listen, you had your shot. It's like when people say, do you think the NBA should come back to Vancouver? No, actually I don't. And the reason that I don't is I know that there's people in this city that would love nothing more than to have the NBA back. But once you've had your shot and you blow it, you go to the back of the food line. You don't immediately just sneak back and butt into the number 2 slot. You go behind Seattle, you go behind Kansas City, you go behind Las Vegas and a handful of other teams in the NBA. It's the same thing with baseball. I sit here and I say to myself, Montreal, if I'm Major League Baseball, I'd rather go to Mexico City. I'd rather go to Puerto Rico. I'd rather go. There's about 5 to 10 places that I would go if I'm Major League Baseball before I take the Band-Aid off and give a franchise back to Montreal. A, they don't have a stadium. B, been there, done that. And C, they don't have to prove anything into Canada. They don't have to, go in there and say, see what we're doing. So for me, I just makes my hair turn gray or grayer than it already is when I sit there and I'm like, here we go again. It's the spring of 2019. They're going to trot the, B list of the Vancouver Canadians out towards the Big O, and they're going to play 2 games, meaningless games against St. Louis. Vladdy's going to hit a home run, and everybody's going to lose their mind, assuming that Montreal deserves baseball because 40,000 people gave a standing ovation to the son of a guy that used to play there.
Well, here's the thing, though. Let's face it. The Expos really, they were horribly mismanaged, and Jeffrey Loria basically helped kill baseball in Montreal. I think really, I wasn't here in Vancouver then, but, I heard lots of complaints about guys like Stu Jackson who didn't get the job done in Vancouver. So, you know what? I think if things had been a little bit better, if the Grizzlies had gotten better, maybe they wouldn't have lost the team. Maybe, but I don't know. I as far as you're saying Washington, if you're going to apply that logic to Washington shouldn't have a team because, of course, they did have the Washington Senators way back in the day.
No, I'm just saying they don't slide right back into that number 2 hole.
No,
you got to remember.
But they do deserve
after Washington left, you watch Colorado, you watch Florida, you watch other teams get their franchises.
I think Montreal deserves a shot.
Yeah, I'm looking at large population areas that have had success in other sports that don't have a Major League Baseball team. I know nobody talks about them, but you don't think a baseball team would be successul in the Carolinas? Oh, heck yeah, it would. What about Tennessee? There's no baseball team in Tennessee. They've got the Titans. They've got the Predators. That is a state and a metropolitan area that would support a baseball team. I agree with Rob here. Unless you're going to build a 35,000 seat stadium in Montreal and cross your fingers that you can sell more than 20,000 of those seats, I just don't see it. The money is not there. It's not as simple as saying we have fans that are going to show up. How much does a ticket for a Mariner game cost?
It's not cheap.
Exactly.
It's not cheap.
Are you going to get 35,000 Montrealers going?
I just don't think that you can go through, and I'm sorry, we're up against a break here. I don't think you can go back to Montreal before you go to Portland, Sacramento, Indianapolis. If I'm Major League Baseball, and I say this lovingly, I would bring a team to Vancouver before I put a team back in Montreal. Because you don't have to go back to Montreal. You've got, 12 teams within a 5-block radius of Montreal? You need to populate a few more teams up in the Pacific Northwest because realistically, you've got Seattle, then you got to go all the way down to San Francisco. There is bunch of real estate out there that could do good. All right, we'll take a break here. When we come back, we're going to switch gears. Obviously, we've talked a little bit about everything here. We also, by the way, are going to give away some stuff at 9 o'clock, but I am going to make you earn it in a very fun and easygoing way. You're going to take on Lou. You're going to take on KP. You're going to take on Niall. And I've got awesome prizes to give away. We'll do it in the 9 o'clock hour, but if you're going to call in the 9 o'clock hour, you've got to be willing to come on air and earn your prize. It's not just simply being caller 5, where Andy Cole, by the way, is the master of letting people off the hook easy. Usually what we do is we just clear the boards and we're like, all right, we'll just take the winner. And he answers every single phone call, which I think is a lost art. But again, it's more work for him. All right, we'll take a break on the other side. More baseball chat. You're listening to Vancouver Canadians Game Day right here on TSN 10. Nilo Donahoe, KP Wee, Lou Filippo, Angel Hernandez. Umpire,
yes,
extraordinaire, who's under the gun right now.
Alleged umpire.
Not the worst when it comes to accuracy, according to StatsCast within Major League Baseball, but a guy that has struggled periodically, including in the baseball playoffs. So, based on player, I guess you would call it dissatisfaction with Angel Hernandez, should Major League Baseball take this under advisement and maybe pull him for the playoffs, or is it too late?
There's no way they can do that because the umpires union is very, very powerful. They'll just walk right off the job. And that's part of the problem that they have with their whole system of assigning umpires to the playoffs, because it is not done on merit. It's done on a rotation basis. And he has no business being in the playoffs as an umpire. And you're right. If you miss 3 calls out of 200, that's one thing. But that's the home plate umpire. You miss 3 calls out of 5? I'm sorry. That's just not good. And he just shouldn't be there. And it's a shame that an umpire became part of the story because, of course, the best way to recognize an umpire, you know that they're a good umpire, is that you don't even know that they're there. And he became the story.
It seems like it's certainly not the first time Angel Hernandez has drawn criticism, in this postseason. It seems like over the last few years, I think if you Google worst umpire, I think Angel Hernandez gets a lot of hits, and it's ridiculous but as Lou mentioned, the umpires union's all powerful, and who knows, they could very well walk off the job. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the NHL.
Koharski.
Yeah, that's right. Don Koharski, the yellow jersey linesman when it was New Jersey and Boston back in 1988.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I would say is I have an issue with players calling out umpires after the game. If you know that that's a strike zone, make adjustments during the game and make better pitches. CC Sabathia coming out and criticizing Angel Hernandez after the game, I just thought that was a kind of a sore loser kind of tactic. Bad calls have been made for balls and strikes for however many years. You deal with it. It's an elimination game. You go ahead and make your pitches, make some in-game adjustments, and excuses. I just don't think that that doesn't sit well with me.
Okay, so I Googled Angel Hernandez because you said what would come up. Deadspin. Angel Hernandez is just guessing over there. Sporting news. Angel Hernandez once again shows why he's a bad umpire. And then the last one, who is Angel Hernandez? Oh, he's the umpire who sued Major League Baseball in the middle of the playoffs. So, okay, we joke, but all joking aside, here's an umpire that is obviously going, through a bit of a tough patch. Mm-hmm. You can say how long it's been or whatnot, but there's 2 things at play here. One, there is now a lawsuit against Major League Baseball from said player, which obviously makes Major League Baseball a little more gun shy. You've also got, and I don't want to bring it up, but I'll bring it up just for the sake of this conversation. I don't know if I agree with it or not. You've got an ethnic umpire who is suing Major League Baseball. You know that Major League Baseball takes that very serious, and because you've got the umpires, and it's always the old boys club, the old white boys club, and you've got an umpire who fits a profile of something that you're trying to make as inclusive as possible. So my question is Major League Baseball scared to act on Angel Hernandez based on what they've seen when it comes to lawsuits in other sports, i.e. the NFL and Colin Kaepernick? Not to make them parallel, but just to say you are now in the same stratosphere of getting sued by a player, or in this case an umpire, with all the lights on as bright as it can shine, and you now have to make a decision on how you're going to respond.
I think that's certainly part of it. I mean, because he did sue based on the fact that he wasn't getting any of these plum assignments. And just like the players, this is bonus money for an umpire. And then, lo and behold, he sues them. And, he's in the playoffs. And he's, front and center with the Red Sox and the Yankees. It doesn't get any bigger than that. And unfortunately, he just didn't show up. But he shouldn't have been there. And sure, they're afraid of this lawsuit. But, I mean, maybe this was part of their plan. Look, this is why he hasn't been given any important assignments, because, quite frankly, he's not up to the task.
So you're saying that's Major League Baseball saying, fine, Angel Hernandez, you show us how good you are. Here's the Yankees and the Red Sox.
Well, I don't know if I'd go that far, but certainly the fact that he finally got an assignment at 57 years old, he got that playoff assignment. You have to sit there and say they were a little bit afraid of the lawsuit, for sure. I mean, anytime in the U.S. you bring a lawsuit forward and you use things like, minority and whatever, you got one heck of a good chance of winning. And they're probably a certain level of afraid of that. And they say, okay, here you go. Here's your assignment. And there goes the lawsuit.
Well, I think it's just basically, I think the umpires, the association or the union itself, really should be ashamed that they're allowing this to happen. Angel Hernandez is making other umpires look very bad by comparison. And, you see in other sports that the officials who are there, they are there on merit. As Lou mentioned, merit isn't necessarily the case when it comes to Major League Baseball.
And they do get tracked. I mean, we know that Angel Hernandez called nearly 3,000 balls and strikes. And they know how many were actual strikes and how many he missed. Like, there is statistical data, KP, that suggests that Angel Hernandez is in the bottom half of Major League Baseball's umpires when it comes to accuracy, when it comes to balls and strikes. Do you, if you're Major League Baseball, take that data right back to him and say, you know what, we can statistically prove that you're not worthy of this assignment? Or is it bigger than that because there's seniority, a union, and all the other stuff that comes with it?
Well, that sounds, Rob, more like something you would take, I guess, into the courtroom if there are statistics that show or that indicate that he's in the bottom half. But again, when we have any kind of rankings, Rob, you're going to have people in the first half, you're going to have people in the second half. As we know from what Lou was saying earlier, with the umpires, their union is so strong, and if if Major League Baseball were to do something right now during the playoffs, it wouldn't fly with the umpires union. They would just all walk out. And the statistics, I mean, again, this could be something that would be used in a court case, I suppose, but you just can't pull a guy from the umpiring rotation during a playoffs, because it just you're going to cause other umpires to walk out or to sue Major League Baseball, perhaps in response to that.
You can pull a guy. I mean, if you've got cause to pull him, of course you can pull a guy. It's been done in other sports.
But is cause an irate player, or is cause the statistical accuracy of them knowing how many pitches and strikes and calls on the bases that he's missing? 3 calls overturned and a 4th one contested in the first 3 innings. That's cause. I mean, even, just while we're sitting here, 2013 survey. Angel Hernandez, worst umpire. 2013. This goes back a long way. And there's a reason why he wasn't getting these assignments, which is kind of why that whole, he sues the league, and now all of a sudden he's got a playoff assignment. That just doesn't pass the sniff test. All right, guys, I have a somber moment here, and I hope you guys will bear with me. I need a moment of silence. After 71 years, Chief Wahoo of Cleveland Indians fame is officially dead.
No.
Yep. Rod Manfred said back in January that the Wahoo logo is, quote, no longer appropriate for on-field use. Jim Thome, Cleveland's most recent inductee into the Hall of Fame, said that he did not want his plaque in Cooperstown to include the Chief. So it is over. Now that the Indians are out of the playoffs, Nobody knows the exact age of Chief Wahoo, but the Indians will no longer use it. They will use the Block C, which has actually been the primary mark of the Indians since 2016, but it is now official. The Indians will no longer use the smiling logo on any of their merchandise moving forward. That's going to take a couple of years to flush out. Baseball, collectors will always have their thing, so it'll never truly fade to, to the oblivion that they, that certain people wanted to go to. But has this now set the precedent for teams like, front and center, the
Washington.
Redskins?
Yes.
Yep.
I mean, the reality is if Major League Baseball can take one of its most heritage, logos and say, you know what, it's 2018, boys, time to clean it up. Is this the tipping of the first domino that leads to maybe a handful of others?
It'll be interesting because Snyder, who is the owner of the Washington football team, does not even want to bring it up. And there's a lot of big college teams as well. Florida State, Seminoles. I mean, Chicago in hockey, right? The Atlanta Braves. There's a lot of teams that could look at this and say, okay, maybe it's time to move away from that. But it's always going to be up to the owner. And I know with Washington in particular, I mean, they've done multiple surveys on this. And the Washington football fans do not want the name changed. And when it becomes a business question, I mean, there's a reason why Snyder owns that team.
Yeah, but
He's a
see,
businessman.
the problem is now you have a team that has made the adjustment.
But
so no longer is it just, there's a handful of us. You can't just label us. Somebody of one of the big four North American sports has actually gone to the length of removing an Indian that is less than pleasing to the eye of those with an indigenous background. I to me, think that there's more to this.
Well, the Atlanta Braves, I mean, they really haven't. They used to have not quite the big smiling logo.
Chief
they
Wahoo,
did have like Chief Nakahoma was their mascot way back in the day. But as far as the Braves go, when's a tomahawk chop going to be extinct?
That's a
why is that still a thing? I remember the Blue Jays were making fun of it back in 1992, mocking Atlanta Braves fans after they won the World Series again back in 92. But it's good to, I'm glad Cleveland, and I think that was really a condition of them getting the All-Star game in 2019 was that Chief Wahoo had to go. It's good to see that step taken. I mean, I wish maybe, I don't know if Florida State does with the Seminoles, but I know the Spokane Indians, they've done it very tastefully. There's nothing, they've worked in conjunction with the
tribes and their
with the tribes. Yeah, that's
absolutely.
Right. With local tribes, that's the way to do it. Follow the Spokane Indians.
Yeah, that tomahawk chalk thing, that was something that Deion Sanders brought from his college to the Braves in '91, and it kind of was kind of fun for a little bit. But the Washington Redskins thing, again, Daniel Snyder doesn't want to change that name. He's adamant about it, and if he's an owner that who's in control of that team, the league, the NFL can't make him or can't force him to make any changes because again, the fans, they've done polls on this before. That team, the fans in that market don't want that change. Snyder doesn't want that change. I think it happened in baseball. I don't think it's relevant to what Snyder's going to think for his football team.
Okay, so in Washington of the NBA, they changed it from the Washington Bullets to the Washington Wizards
right.
because Washington, there was a connotation of violence and murder.
And gangs.
Again, violence and racism. I don't want to say it's in the exact same basket, but obviously if it's offensive or, connotate something that is of a negative to your neighborhood, it's the same city. So already in Washington, D.C., you've had a team that has gone to the lengths of changing their name to, essentially make sure that their fans feel that they're represented better towards the rest of North America. How can the Redskins be that obtuse? It's already happened right in their own market. And I don't think the Wizards took any, stuff on the chin. I mean, I didn't like the Wizards' look, but I understand why they made the change. I really believe that the fans' value in this particular instance it's the lesser of two evils. Sure, you piss off the Redskins fans for the next couple of years because the diehards are like, well, this is, BS. But I think the larger scale picture is you look progressive. You look as if you've listened to a large portion of North America that says, you know what, we're not going to tolerate this anymore. I think even though you lose the battle, you win the war.
And you're going to sell a lot more merchandise because, hey, it's new, it's hot, and, everybody wants the new merchandise.
I mean, what it comes down to with Washington really is two words. It's Daniel Snyder.
Right.
This guy is stubborn. Just flat out stubborn. I mean, he's shown he has absolutely no idea how to run a franchise. This was a treasured franchise in the NFL.
And weren't they, 20,000, 25,000 seats short of a sellout for their home opener?
Yeah,
so.
I mean, but now going on beyond that, I mean, we talk about the names that kind of have a connotation towards First Nations and Natives. Well, at what point do we move on to the Dallas Cowboys?
Well, I can understand where you're going, but that's definitely not in the same conversation.
No, it's not in the same conversation, but how far away are we from getting to that conversation?
You're saying eventually you're going to have 32 teams that are just called the Beiges.
The birds. They'll be birds.
Well, damn those birds.
They'll be birds.
And this is the final thought on this, at least from my perspective. You're playing in a league where right now you have a player that is the poster child for, essentially taking on the cause in Colin Kaepernick. You are in the same league, and yet you've got players that are willing to drop to a knee. You've got the President of the United States saying it's BS because you're not representing, the Stars and the Stripes. Well, all of this is happening. While Kaepernick Gate is happening, you've still got a team that is openly not acknowledging their racist logo. So to me, it's kind of like, where are we at as a league? Because here you are taking on the fight against Colin Kaepernick, but yet one of your 32 logos is blatantly racist.
Maybe not the logo. I mean, the Blackhawks logo isn't that different, but the name. It's the name. The name is absolutely ridiculous, but at the end of the day, the commissioner of the NFL, Roger Goodell, is not going to take on one of his owners. And that's one of the failings of that system there. But this should have been changed a very, very long time ago, because it is, bar none, the absolute worst name when you match it up to Native North Americans. It is the absolute worst.
I'm just saying, if that was a different culture, like, with all due respect,
man,
I think it gets dealt with a lot faster.
Yep.
Like if it was the Conios or, something along those lines, I think it's not even, it probably doesn't get even into year one, but surely 60 years forward, you can at least go back and right the wrong. To me, and again, I look at, the Chief Wahoo logo with the Cleveland Indians was the worst of the worst because the face was bright red. I mean, you look at certain logos like the Blackhawks of the NHL, it's done, I guess you would say, quasi-tastefully. When a cartoon character of an actual indigenous, warrior, at least that's what I take away from it. There's stuff that's a little over the top, like Chief Wahoo, you look at the cartoons, that's over the top. But again, I just sit there and I say to myself, okay, Major League Baseball has to be happy that they've got a proactive ownership group that said, you know what, even though we do keep the trademark, and even though it will be sold in certain facets of our organization, team store, what have you, it's no longer front and center. It's no longer on our game day uniform. To me, that's progress. And to me, that's something that I think there's a lot of other teams in North America that have that balancing act that they're dealing with right now, be it Florida State or whoever, and say, you know what, maybe we can at least progress towards it. So, again, food for thought. All right, we won't spend our whole time on this. I'm going to open up the phones. We're going to take a break here, but on the other side, I want to give you some stuff. But we're going to make you work for it. How well do you know your food, your ballpark food? And how well do you know your teams? Those are the two things that I'm going to ask you. We're going to have a skill testing question with some pretty cool swag on the other side of the break. So 604-280-1040, 604-280-1040. Look, man, most of the times I just open it up and say caller 5, but today I want you to work just a little bit. Just a tiny bit. I'll let you know how right here on TSN 1040. But We're going to do this a little bit different tonight because we're having fun. Canucks are winners tonight. Baseball playoffs are going on. Football's doing its thing. I want somebody who's not afraid to take on one of our hosts. Now, just so you know, it is not baseball trivia. It is not baseball trivia. It is generic trivia. So give me a call, 604-280-1040. And again, should I tell them the prizes in advance so that we can get this going? I think there's a lot of scaredy cats out there tonight. But I got 2 tickets to the Vancouver Canadians Hot Stove Luncheon coming up, which is a big deal.
Very nice.
I got a 10-game Nat Pack for the 2019 season, values at over $150.
That's good.
And I got a Canadians prize pack, shirt, hat, the whole shebang. So it's not like we're giving away a pair of, Crocs. We're giving away like some legit things. I don't know. Probably could have thought of something better, but all right. So should we go to the phone now? I love it. I love that we're starting in Abbotsford. This is the city that never sleeps. Rob in Abbotsford, how are you tonight, fella?
I'm doing good, Rob. Yourself?
I'm okay. Lou's having a seizure over here, but we're going to be just fine. We have categories tonight, my friend. So you're going to get 30 seconds, and I'm going to give you a category, and you're going to try to name as many of these things as possible. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, so I'm going to give you a choice because you're the guest. You're going to be taking on Lou Filippo. So, do you want chili topics or do you want hot topics?
Let's go. I'm interested in the chili topic.
I like where you're coming from. Okay, Rob from Abbotsford, you have 30 seconds. Wait for me to say go. You have 30 seconds to name as many ice cream flavors as possible. Ready? Go.
Strawberry, chocolate, vanilla, Rocky Road, bubblegum, pistachio, double fudge, cotton candy, tangerine, orange, lemon. Coffee.
Yeah, you're halfway there. Keep going.
Almond roca.
Wow.
Let's keep going here.
5 seconds.
Banana. Melon.
Yeah. All right, stop right there. Dude, you got 16 flavors.
Melon's not an ice cream
Oh, sure
flavor.
it is.
Melon's not.
Lou's nervous.
I'm sure there's some variation.
Melon might be sorbet. It's definitely not an ice cream.
Brother, he got 16.
Yeah.
You've been outruled. Don't play the Angel Hernandez card just yet.
Okay.
All right, Lou. And now, just so you know, Robin Abbotsford, Lou is a bona fide, full-fledged Italian. So he gets 30 seconds. You got to wait till I say go to name as many pizza toppings as possible. All right, Rob, I think you're in trouble. You got 16. On your mark, Lou, get set, go.
Bacon, pepperoni, ham, Italian sausage, green olives, black olives, green peppers, mushrooms, hot peppers, garlic, cheese, extra cheese. Let's see, pineapple, chicken. You can put chicken on a pizza right now. You can definitely put, I said bacon already.
Yes.
If you've gone to that place on commercial, they throw stuff like eggplant on there. They throw cauliflower on there, broccoli. They put tzatziki sauce on there. There's a gazillion pizza. Oh, yes, they do. Let's see. What
Stop.
Spinach.
Okay, hold on. Rob from Abbotsford, you got 16. Lou Filippo. Here's KP. This is going to come down to you.
I'm not done yet.
Oh, no, your 30 seconds is up, Lou. Do you not know how to play this stupid game?
Time's up.
All right, so Rob, you're good at 16. That's been verified by KP, the statistical assassin. Lou had 17, but I'm going to put this to KP right now. Cauliflower and broccoli. Are those two? No.
He said extra cheese. Do you
Yeah,
count?
that's what I was just going to say.
Nobody
Extra
says
extra cheese.
Okay, it comes down to one guy.
Do you pay for
Extra cheese on top of cheese?
Yes, it's a topping.
No shot. Okay, yes or no? Broccoli and cauliflower.
I've never had those on my pizza.
Neither have I.
pineapple on my
Rob,
pizza either.
congratulations. You win by 1.
Okay, that's fine. We're gonna have to print up the
You
list.
get
here.
the Canadians prize pack, so hold the line. Andy will get your information, and congratulations. 16 in 30 seconds is not bad.
Not bad. Could have done better.
Yeah.
It was hurtful to say pineapple because pineapple does not belong.
Okay, yeah. So now, if you're listening, you know how the game is played, all right? So
All right.
Rob has already won, so we're going to take the Canadians prize pack off of the list. Next, we go to Vancouver, home of too much taxes, bike lanes, and more taxes. Christian, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great.
Now, you've heard what we're doing, right?
Yeah, I think I got the idea.
I love it. Okay, so you will take on Niall O'Donohoe, he who just came back from Ireland. I'm going to give you two choices. Do you want the silver screen or do you want the 6?
I'm going to go for the silver screen.
The silver screen. Oh, you're getting some text messages from buddies that hear you online. Here's the deal. You have 30 seconds, wait until you hear go, to name as many movie stars as you possibly can. Christian from Vancouver, you have 30 seconds, go.
Scarlett Johansson, Jake Gyllenhaal, Jared Leto, George Clooney, Josh Brolin, Benicio del Toro, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Casey Affleck, Martin Scorsese, Quentin Tarantino, Brock Besser. How about Brock Besser? Come on.
No. 5 seconds.
Sigourney Weaver. Whoopi Goldberg. Danny Glover.
All right, stop there. You got 13. We cannot accept Brock Besser.
That is the most diverse group of movie stars I have ever heard.
Well, you know what? I wasn't going to give him Quentin Tarantino, but then Quentin Tarantino does star in his own movie.
Yes.
So I do
Dawn
give you
Till
that.
Dusk.
So Christian,
He makes good coffee.
okay. So you got 13, Christian. All right.
Okay.
So now, Niall, you got the tough one. I'm going to open up the envelope. You've got 30 seconds.
Okay.
You cannot look at your computer. By the way, Christian, if you win this, you better give her half of the prize.
Oh, yeah, you know it.
Yeah, okay. All right. Don't think we don't hear everything here. All right. You get 30 seconds, Niall, to name as many hip-hop artists as you can.
Oh, boy.
Are you ready?
Just
Set,
given the prize already. Okay, here we go.
go.
Hip-hop, Kanye West. Is he considered hip-hop? Oh, man.
Oh, my God. You're going to get killed here.
Maestro Fresh West.
Yes, dude.
Okay. Oh, man. Kanye. Oh, man.
Congratulations.
Yes, yeah, he might.
Dude, you look like McGregor in the fight.
Ice.
Ice Baby? Was that your third?
Vanilla Ice.
Okay, that's 3.
Iced tea.
Yeah. 3 seconds.
Oh, man.
Okay, that was, by
Snoop
the way,
Dogg.
this segment, the whitest segment that we've had in some time.
Wow.
Christian, congratulations. You're a winner. That was a landslide. So you're going to hold the line. You and your lady friend have just won 2 tickets to the 9th annual Vancouver Canadians Hot Stove Luncheon. Those 2 tickets value at $150. Congratulations, Christian. Good for you.
Thank
and
you. Thank
hold the line, brother. All right, so we got one more. And you KP's like, thank God I didn't get that one. We go. Oh, I hope this is who I think it is. Is this Gord P?
Yeah, it is.
Fantastic, Gord P from East Van. How are you tonight?
I'm well, thank you very much.
Do you know who, yes?
Rob and Rob from Abbotsford there and Christian, they've raised the bar tonight.
Oh, don't you know it, brother?
I thought I was just going to call in and win some tickets, but this is
Yeah, you got to work for this. I told you I'm tired of just being the caller 5 guy. We'll leave that to the day shows. All right, so here we go. You have the choice of ice or grass.
oh jeez.
Yeah, clear the throat real quick there.
Only a few days away.
That's
Well,
all right.
then I got to go grass.
You're from East Van, a wise choice. Okay. So
right.
you have 30 seconds, Gord,
Yep.
come up right now with as many Major League Baseball teams as possible. On your mark, get
Right.
set, go.
White Sox, Cubs, Reds. I'm going to go Detroit, Houston, the Dodgers, Los Angeles Angels, San Francisco,
Yeah.
St. Louis Cardinals,
Yep.
San Diego Padres,
Yes. 10 seconds.
the Toronto Blue Jays,
Yeah.
Seattle Mariners,
Yeah. 2.
Texas
Yeah, you got
Rangers.
it. Okay, there you go. Stop there. You got 13.
Okay.
13's pretty good for on the spot, not knowing what the topic is before we get to it.
I'm fueled by hippie lettuce over here, so
Well, that's Par for the course on this show. Why do I always get the hippie letters? I know, I miss Adrian. I don't know where he is, or his cat for that matter. Okay, so KP.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Yeah, you drew the tough straw, Gord. Because KP's going to not only name all in his category, he's probably going to finish off the ones that you didn't name for as well. All right, so KP, you get... No, it's too late, Gord. Forget it. Come on.
All right.
KP, 30 seconds to name as many NHL teams as humanly possible.
All right.
On your mark, get set, go.
Rangers, Islanders, Florida Panthers, Tampa Bay Lightning, Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, Winnipeg Jets, Edmonton Oilers, Calgary Flames, Vegas Golden Knights, Anaheim Mighty Ducks, LA Kings, St. Louis Blues,
10 seconds.
Chicago Blackhawks, San Jose Sharks.
Breathe.
San Jose Sharks.
KP needs some of your hippie letters. All right, stop right there. Gord, I got bad news for you, fella.
I got smoked.
Yeah, like the lettuce that you claim to have. Yes, you did.
Pun intended.
All right, so I'm apologizing, but Gord, you know I love you and you're a good man.
It was a good fight.
That was a great fight. All right, back to the letters.
KP's tough. Thanks, Rob.
Yeah, it's all right. We got one guy left who KP will take on. We go to the island. Now, we weren't going to bring this guy on, but he is a local Rob Fay Nation radio legend. So we go to the island, the home of more hippie lettuce. It's Faber from Nanaimo. Faber, how are you, fella?
Oh, I'm doing great, Rob. I was hoping to come into the John Cena intro, but I'll let it pass this time.
Are you serious? You know what,
Come
Andy?
on.
Can we get him some John Cena theme? Is that possible right now? I'll let KP go first so that you can have your moment. Sound good? God,
Hey, let him choose too. Let's go.
Wow. Okay.
great.
Holy smokes.
Let's go, KP.
All right, thank you.
KP, how about this? Because Faber's such a tough guy.
Okay.
You pick your own topic. What would you like to do right now? How about this? I got it.
Okay.
Advanced stats.
States that are in the United States.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
On your mark, get set, go.
Colorado, Washington State, New York, Massachusetts, Oregon, Texas, Carolina, South Carolina, North Carolina,
There's too many Carolinas there.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, okay. 10 seconds.
Minnesota.
Yeah. Wow, you stink at this. 5 seconds. 5 seconds. You're only at 10.
Maryland.
Dude, buy a map. Yeah. You're done. Stop. Wow. KP, bedwetter. 11. 11. Dude, there's 50 states. Buy a globe or something. That was bad. Yeah, just so you know, you got more hockey teams than you did states.
He did get all three Carolinas, though.
Yes, of course. Hey, you know what? Double cheese? Don't say anything over there.
Hey, you came for double cheese.
Cheese and extra cheese. That's two different toppings. Crust.
That's my brother's nickname is Double Cheese, believe it or not.
Favorite, leave the jokes to me, buddy. All right, here we go. He comes from Nanaimo. Favorite, tell me how much you weigh right now.
295 pounds, my friend.
Are you actually serious right now?
Yeah, I'm huge, man. Hello.
Keep the music going for this. This is impressive. The guy that weighs 295 pounds, he gets as much music as he wants.
I love it.
All right, so, Faber, here we go. All right, Andy, that's enough. All right. God, Andy's kind of new to this.
He said keep it going.
Well, I meant more like the energy, not the fact that we're going to get into the lyrics of John
keep the music
Cena.
on.
I know. Okay, so.
From the top, Andy. From the top.
No, Faber, don't encourage it, man. It's bad. Okay, Faber, you get wrestlers from the WWE. 30 seconds, go.
The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker, Bill Goldberg, or just Goldberg, I guess. Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose.
15 seconds.
Vince McMahon count?
No.
John Cena, of course. Andre the Giant, Shawn Michaels,
5 seconds.
Brock Lesnar,
Yeah.
Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio, Edge, Kane.
You got it. All right, stop right there.
Ding, 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 ding.
You beat KP, the statistical assassin who I will never buy a ticket for any travel again. You got 15 in 30 seconds. That's for Faber. Congratulations. You want to seize that pack. That's
Right on. That's awesome,
10
Rob.
tickets. You can use them all at once in one game, or you can spread it out over the course of the 2019 season.
Good second wind after Vince McMahon.
Well, that sounds great. I can't wait for it. Thank you, Rob.
All right, Faber, you're the man.
Vince McMahon
Hold the
did
line.
wrestle.
I know, Vince
Hold the line.
McMahon
Well,
did
you know,
wrestle.
actually, he was a champion at one point for like a week or two.
yeah.
So, Faber dominated KP. It doesn't even matter. All right, Faber, hold the line. That's good stuff. Guy asked for his own intro music. That's fantastic. What a jerk. Okay, so we're all giggling at each other, but can I really quickly recap how this last 15 minutes of Vancouver Canadians game day went? Lou, you tried to cheat the system.
Dude, there is broccoli and cauliflower pizza.
Yeah, on some random pizza that nobody knows about. We're talking about general toppings. You missed anchovies.
Well,
Yeah.
anchovies don't belong on pizza.
Or pineapples.
Anchovies belong in Caesar dressing.
Okay, by the way, Niall,
I know.
I don't know if I have ever in my entire life.
Okay, that was okay, but
What did you get? 4 hip hop guys?
4. I was expecting him to say Florida at some point.
No, the best is when he was like Ice Ice Baby. He couldn't even place the name. He was just saying Ice Ice Baby. So, okay, let's just say hip hop's not your thing. And KP, by the way, I mean, how do you only get 10 states in 30 seconds?
I'm not good at this game.
I couldn't tell. Okay, so again, in the last couple of minutes, we gave away some pretty good prizes. By the way, the hot stove luncheon for the Vancouver Canadians, where we raise money for the Vancouver Canadians Baseball Foundation, is Friday, January the 25th, my birthday, by the way. And we will be trying to raise as much money as possible. So congratulations, Christian. Although you've won tickets to that event, we're going to be hitting you up every way we can to get that money back from you. But I will say this. We'll take our break here. When we come back, more baseball chatter. We're also going to have to recap some of the big games, including who we think are going to meet up at the World Series. I got a sneaking suspicion we got 4 answers on the other side. You're listening to Vancouver Canadians Game Day on TSN. And right again, social media lighten it up with the old Shotgun Jake. Shotgun Jake is trending in our region right now.
Yeah.
But here's my question. I have 2 questions before we get back to baseball, because I'm a purist. Should that? I mean, it's a goal, but it's an empty net goal. That shouldn't be a shotgun. That's not shotgun worthy, is it? Am I wrong?
It counts.
I guess
it counts.
That goal's a
They
goal
all
is a
look like
goal,
top
right?
shelf breakaway goals in the end.
I'm trying to think of any bad reason to not have a beer, and I'm kind of struggling.
Well,
with
okay,
that.
which leads me to my second question. There's a lot of guys right now online. Not a lot of girls do this, by the way. But there's a lot of boys that are drinking the beer, but every once in a while you'll get a guy that's shotgunning a Mike's Hard Lemonade.
Doesn't
or a
count.
Hey Y'all.
Doesn't count.
It's got to be a beer, right?
Has to be
You
a
don't
beer.
Shotgun lemonade.
No,
Yeah.
half the problem with shotgunning a beer is all the bloody foam.
I don't know. I just think the rules need to be tightened up a little bit, because I see this guy here, A Mercado, on Twitter at AMerc15. He says, I found a hard iced tea in my fridge. Please excuse my face at the end. And then he shotguns an iced tea. I get it. It's the whole premise of shotgunning when Jake scores, which I love. I think it's one of the greatest things that this radio station's come up with, outside anything that Pratt says. But I will say this. I've got to think that there's got to be some prerequisites here. It's got to be a beer. It's got to be, it's got to count for something. It's got to be a big deal. No?
No.
Just any beer, anytime, anywhere?
Any goal is good for beer. If scores a big goal, you got to at least have a pint can.
Well, yeah.
All right, you know what? Let's go to KP. Let's go to the judge. KP, does it have to be a beer, or can it
Absolutely.
be any beverage?
Lemonade doesn't count. It has to be a beer.
What if it was, See, I'm thinking that there's nobody else that you could do this for. Jake Virtanen is the perfect guy. Shotgun Jake is a genius idea. But I just want to make sure that it counts. The empty netter today, for me, leaves me wanting a little more. But I'm telling you, social media is going bananas right now for Shotgun Jake. It's right up there with Besser and Pedersen on things that are trending in the city. And broccoli just appeared on the trending thing.
I don't know why we're stopping it for 10. I mean, Besser scores a goal. It certainly calls for a hard shot, right?
Hey, he's going to be just fine. See, that's the problem with this market. Let me rephrase that. That's the problem with the four of us idiots, is we think that he's got to get all 30 of his goals in the first, 5 games so that we can take the pedal off the gas.
Yeah.
He's getting
or the gas off the pedal, or my foot off the pedal so that the gas works. Anyways, I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, you know what? He's going to get his.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not sure if I agree with the David Pratt theory that there's an injury there. Maybe, maybe not. But I mean, that slap shot looked like it had a little bit of juice to it tonight. And you know what? I'll tell you what, if my wrist or my finger hurts, that's a shot I don't necessarily get off. But again, that's me. I'll save it for the pros. But anyways, that's Lou Filippo, Niall O'Donoghue, KP Wee. I'm Rob Fay. And this is Vancouver Canadians Game Day. What? The Vancouver Canadians have been done for a month. I know. We're going to go right through the World Series.
And that's been done for a month, too, and they're still...
Oh, you're the worst. It's 4 games into the season. They've won 2 of them.
That's right.
Name a guy in this city on this station that said that they'd win 2 of their first 4 games, including in Tampa Bay.
Dave Pratt.
No shot.
Yeah, he thought he'd win 2 of their first 4.
He said that?
Yeah. But he thought the first 4 were he thought Calgary were givens, and Carolina, he still considers Carolina to be a bad team because they're historically bad. So I'm assuming he'll be joking about Vancouver for a long time, too. But yeah, he thought they would win, that was their shot at getting a couple of games. Didn't think they'd win tonight.
So they're losing the games they should win and winning the games they should lose.
Correct.
Okay.
Pretty much.
All right. So here's the deal. World Series chatter, because we're all down to the brass tacks of it all right now. The Dodgers and the Brewers. On paper right now, you might say that this is a scratch, a draw. If you were to look strictly at contracts, you might say to yourself, this is the Dodgers to win because they've got the higher priced talent. They've got Clayton Kershaw. Kershaw's, looking great as he does. But man, I'll tell you this, to take on a team that has rattled off 11 straight wins with a team that really has, for the most part, flown under the radar in Major League Baseball. I mean, we knew that Milwaukee was going to go to the playoffs, or did we? Because they had to play in. But at the same time, I sit here and I say to myself, I can't bet against a team on an 11-game winning streak.
It's hard. I mean, it reminds me of when Colorado made that late rush years ago to just get in, and then they swept their way through the first early rounds, and then once they got to the World Series, everything came crashing down on them. And that's what you kind of wonder is when they get that first loss, and they're not going to sweep the Dodgers. How are they going to react to that? Because they've had nothing but winning for the last 2.5 weeks. It's ridiculous what they're doing, but they're getting big-time plays from all of their big-time players, and they're not winning close games. They're wiping teams out.
You know what? I never thought Milwaukee was going to do as well as they've done. I thought kind of after last year they had a surprising year. I thought they were going to come back to earth, and they definitely proved me wrong while I was betting on the Mariners to actually do something. But anyway, that's another story. I backed the wrong horse. But you know what? I just think the Dodgers, I just think on paper they just have the better team. I think they have the better starting rotation. Milwaukee's starting rotation, that's where I think is their Achilles heel. Yes, their bullpen's great, but you have to wonder, Milwaukee's bullpen, they're going to get run down pretty soon. Even though you have a guy like Josh Hader striking out pretty much everybody he faces. So you just have to wonder, will Milwaukee's streak continue? And as well, they've had some time off as well. The rust could accumulate. So I don't know. I think the Dodgers will win this series. I think the Brewers probably will take at least a couple of games. But I expect that series go at least 6.
Well, I think the having that many days off could hurt the Brewers, and a lot of the guys, I never thought the Brewers would even make it to the playoffs, but now that they're there, coming off an 11-game winning streak and counting, they're a very dangerous team right now because the bullpen, was the second best, in the majors during the regular season. They just kind of snuck up on everybody, and I think the level of confidence that they're playing at, that is something that we can't underestimate because they're just saying, if Ryan Braun, can't hit, the next guy in the lineup's going to deliver the big hit, and so on and so forth. There's actually a bunch of guys getting the job done, including the bullpen. But I would be concerned about the number of days off for sure, because during the regular season you get 1 day off every 20 games or so. Now they've had a whole week off beginning the series tomorrow on Friday. So maybe the early part of the series, they might show some signs of rust, but I expect the Brewers to, defeat the Dodgers in the NLCS.
Okay, so let's go around the horn one more time. Lou, who are you taking in that series?
I want to take the Brewers, but I'm going to go with the Dodgers.
So you're going to take Dodgers? Niall?
Yeah, I'm going to say the Dodgers. I agree with Lou. I'd like to see the Brewers win it, but I think it's going to be the Dodgers.
I think it's the Brewers.
I think it's the Brewers as well.
They got the better record. They should be the favorites. They have the better record.
But you know what? The problem is nobody takes a team like Milwaukee seriously. But if you break that team down into what they have in the top three hitters, the bottom three hitters, Yelich is a guy that you could move around in that order. And that bullpen is ferocious. Like, if any of their starters can get through 5, I would actually put Milwaukee's bullpen, a bunch of unknowns, up against anybody's bullpen at this point in the season. I mean, they are a nasty piece of business, and they are rolling at the right time. All right, let's go to the American League, where you've got the Red Sox, who are coming off that 3-1 series victory against the dreaded Yankees, but you're taking on the world champs in Houston. I think it's fair to say, and anybody here can correct me if I'm wrong, that Houston is the favorite. Despite the fact that the Red Sox have more regular season wins, the defending champs, that starting rotation, the fact that they've been there, this has got so many different storylines. Before we even get into the secondary stuff, let's start with the rotation. You've got Verlander, you got Sale, you've got David Price. I mean, jokes aside, maybe I should have rephrased that. But you know what I'm getting at. There's a lot of marquee names here. Garrett Cole is part of this conversation as well. I mean, line them up and knock them down. Before we get into the proverbial, the bullpens will decide this series, who of the big aces here is really the step to the forefront guy? Does anybody need this particular series to cement a legacy or to show that he's more than the rest? I mean, Verlander, Sale, any of those names strike a chord to you?
Well, Price needs to win a game.
Yes, he does.
I mean, really, he's the one. I mean, he is what now, 0-10 in the play? No, he's 0-9 now in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, that's ridiculous. And the fact, I mean, he got pulled after an inning and 2/3. That is unheard of for some guy who you're paying $30 million to, who's supposed to be one of your 2 aces. His own manager is afraid of him pitching in the postseason now. He's the guy that needs to come out and have one heck of a performance, not even to cement his legacy, but to basically alter the whole idea that he's a loser in the playoffs, which is too bad because he should have won a game with the Jays, and then Bautista decided to play hot potato with the baseball a couple of times. But he needs to win a game. All the guys in Houston, they've all won. There's no problem there. Verlander,
I think Chris Sale as well. He liked to really boost his legacy as well and come up big. And he certainly did against the Yankees, pitching a key inning of relief and setting the tone in Game 1. But, definitely David Price definitely has to find a way to win. The good news for Red Sox fans is Price did fare better against Houston in the regular season than he did against the Yankees. Yankees just simply had Price's number all year long, but at least with Houston, I think that's what manager Alex Cora is betting on for Boston, that Price will find his form again against the Houston Astros.
Now, for me, if you're talking about a guy trying to cement his legacy, I got to go with Chris Sale as well, just because, he started his career with the White Sox, didn't go to the playoffs. Now with the Red Sox, he's got a chance after that series against the Yankees in the division series. He's got a chance to, I don't think he's going to do it, but he's got a chance to, show what he's worth in the playoffs and help Boston win at least a game here. Now, but getting to the Price situation, I think, throughout the history of baseball, there have been guys that, big names, superstars just can't seem to get it done in the playoffs, whether it's, choking, whether it's too much pressure. You think of guys like Jack McDowell, Dwight Gooden can win playoff games. You get things like Bonilla, Bonds, Vince Light, with the Pirates in the early 90s. Sometimes there are guys that just, can't seem to deliver in the playoffs. I mean, maybe that's something that could change. I mean, in the NL side, Kershaw kind of reversed that a little bit in the division series, pitching 8 shutout innings. But I think, I just wouldn't bet on David Price doing well against the Astros. Just I think his confidence level's got to be at an all-time low right now.
All right, so there's a couple of things that we're going to get to on the other side of the break. David Price, is his legacy cemented as a choker despite all those regular season wins? And the health of Carlos Correa. He is a big part of the Astros' success or road towards the World Series. If he's not 100%, how much does that affect the defending champs? So we're going to get to that. We're going to reset the show. A lot's coming up. We still got a half an hour to go. You're listening to Vancouver Canadians Game Day on TSN. Let's see which celebrities are knocking on death's doorstep. And wouldn't you know it? There's a website. Of course there is.
Oh, wow.
So I'm sitting. So as I'm scrolling through, I'm just like, oh, wow, that guy is still alive. I'm thinking to myself, what kind of person, A, makes this website and then has a Google search engine and says celebrities that are near death?
And has to update it.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I was kind of surprised by some of them right now. And that the fact that there's websites and they're ranked, like Bob Barker, 94. He's, I guess he's due. You know, Bob Barker was on The Price is Right for 25 years.
25 years, yeah.
Only 25?
I thought it was longer.
Me too.
Yeah.
Still Drew
KP, did
Carey.
you really think that? Did you really think as you were driving in here today, like, oh,
you
Bob
just said
Barker?
it. 25 years.
Well, of course, the other thing you think of is Happy Gilmore.
Right, right.
Really?
Yeah.
Bob Barker, Happy Gilmore? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I
Oh, are
guess
you
so.
kidding?
Fair enough.
The
You're
price is wrong.
Anyways, okay, so here we should take bets here. Who's next? I got odds. Betty White 1-1. Okay, so let's move. The only reason I bring that up is because now I think of game show hosts, and I think of Family Feud. They've had 4 or 5 different guys. Who's the best Family Feud host of all time?
Richard
Dawson, yeah.
It is. Well, what about who's the chubby guy? The chubby comedian that did it for a while. I think
Louis Anderson?
Yeah, I think he's dead though, right?
No, he's still alive.
Is he actually?
He's still
What? Let me check this website again. I think he's dead. I actually do.
Louis Anderson's still
Louis
alive.
Anderson's dead. Let's save that for another show.
All right.
KP, get to work. What are we doing here?
Dead celebrity.
Unless you're thinking of
Rob,
Ray,
you should have used
Ray
that for
Combs is
trivia.
no longer with us.
Louis Anderson is very much alive. He's 65.
What?
There you
no
go.
kidding, eh?
Yeah, there you go.
Did you say he's
Sure,
not with
appreciate
us?
that.
No, Ray Combs.
But did you say Ray Combs is no longer
No longer
with
Combs.
us?
No longer,
That's
yeah.
so proper. I like
Nice.
that. Well, there's a segment you don't get
Alex
back.
Trebek is almost 80.
Is he really?
He
He's
shaved
like
his mustache. That's
77,
he
yeah,
trended
yeah.
because his mustache
Yeah.
got shaved, and that's about it.
Okay.
All right, I guess I'll just shotgun in here. I'll stop shotgunning for... And Quavo is trending, by the way, for all you kids out there right now. Do you know who Quavo is, Niall?
I have no clue.
He's 1/3 of the Migos, but that's okay. Which, by the way, is a hip-hop group. What? Oh, okay.
No,
Why do you always do that? Lou, so you know.
No. We're just talking about Alex Trebek's age, and he's actually 78. We're just checking.
Yeah, but see, okay, so we all got computers in here, and Lou, every once in a while I'm talking, will tilt his computer over towards Niall, and I'm sitting here on the other side of the studio, what am I doing wrong? What am I thinking?
And then broccoli pizza.
Yeah, okay. By the way, that's nasty. Okay, let's get to the top stories of the day. We started the show with Chris Bryant allegedly turning down a $200 million contract for the Chicago Cubs. Now, people are coming out saying, balderdash, that that's not true, but I got to think where there's smoke, there's fire. I don't think somebody just comes out and randomly says that Chris Bryant had a $200 million contract in front of him and said no. So, question that we started the show with, and you're welcome to hit us up in this last segment, 604-280-1040, or if you're a Louis Anderson supporter and just want to yell at me, I'll take that as well. Chris Bryant, is he worth $200 million? And B, is that setting the bar, trying to get ahead of the eventual sweepstakes for the likes of Machado, Bryce Harper, and enter players name here?
Well, I mean, when you look at Bryant, he is the best position player on that team. At least he has been for the time he's been up. So he's their signature player. And yeah, they're probably just trying to buy out a few years of arbitration. He's already making 11 now. He's going to be up in, he'll be up close to 25, which is what 8,200 would be anyway. So, I mean, for the Cubs, yeah, sure, it's a smart move. You lock him up until he's 34, sorry. He's 26 now.
That's right.
So you're taking his whole prime. Really, it could possibly be a discount when you look at some of the other deals that are out there. So, I mean, it's not a bad move by the Cubs. I would still sign it, but there's no question if Bryant keeps this up and then works his way through his arbitration years, he's definitely in line for a bigger payday than that. But there's always that risk of Josh Donaldson.
Well, and as I said before, I think Scott Boras, I think he's pulling, of course, a lot of the strings. That's why Chris Bryant has Scott Boras as an agent, and Scott Morris, really, 99 times out of 100, he will get top dollar. And I think, obviously, the Boras camp doesn't feel that is top dollar for Chris Bryant, because Bryant, why not bet on Bryant? Because, again, he won't be a free agent until after the 2021 season, so he's got time to play this out, and he's holding all the cards right now.
I think that the Cubs offering that contract, I think that makes sense for them, because you want to lock up the player, during his prime years. And, again, I would sign it, because again, you just don't know what's going to happen. You look at a guy like David Wright, had to miss, a couple of years because of injuries. You just don't know what's going to happen. So if there's an offer made, just sign it. And again, you have to think about what is Bryant's, what is he trying to accomplish? Maybe it's his agent, Boris, trying to tell him what to do. But it's a smart thing by the Cubs making that offer.
All right, we're going to take our final break here. When we come back, Vladdy, do you put a lot of merit into the fall schedule? We've already played our regular season. Minor league season is done. Vladdy is down at the Arizona Fall League, and he's kicking ass and taking names as per usual. The question, do you find merit in numbers that are postseason and not of the playoff variety? You're listening to Rob Fay Nation Radio. You're listening to Vancouver Canadians Game Day. You're doing it on TSN 1040. So now we get to, the Arizona Fall League. And I know Andrew Case last year had a pretty good season in the AZL. We had all these different kind of guys, or AFL, pardon me. And now Vladdy's doing it again. Can you possibly get any more helium in this balloon without it exploding all over a faithful Blue Jay fan?
It's pretty hard at this point. I mean, 3 hits his first game. Was he 6 for 8, I believe, his first 2 games? He's just continues to be on fire. And I think the thing is, you just hope the players stay healthy. I think that's the key thing as far as what I'm looking for as far as Arizona Fall League. These guys get their reps. I mean, yeah, it's great if they can get the results. That's even better. But, Arizona Fall League, sometimes teams are kind of hesitant to send their very top pitching prospects. I think Nate Pearson is going to get a little bit of work, and obviously he needs it after missing a few months, after taking a line drive off the forearm in Dunedin in his only game of the year, as it turned out, even though he did come back and pitch in Lansing as part of the Lansing Lugnuts Michigan State baseball game that they always tend to hold every year. But, it's incredible to see what he's doing. But, I think for me, as long as these guys can get their innings, they can get their reps in, I think that's what you look forward to. But Vladimir Guerrero Jr. how can the Blue Jays not start him on opening day instead of just waiting 2-3 weeks into the season before they don't wind up losing a year of his service time? And he's just been unbelievable.
I think service time at this point is a moot point, because I think you just lock him up as soon as you can. I mean, this is a generational guy. You hear it from all the guys in the minor league system. I think almost as much marketing as logic comes into this play. I mean, if you're the Toronto Blue Jays, you're not going to be making the playoffs in 2019. You're doing this youth movement. He becomes your poster boy right out of the gate. You could start making your books and your banners and all this stuff right now. There is no logical reason not to have him on the opening day roster outside of control. So, Lou, I guess my question to you, fall stats. Let's say he finishes hitting 400 in the AFL. Any merit in that, or whatever, we expected it?
Well, you expect him to perform well, because let's be real. Going to the Arizona Fall League is certainly a drop from AAA, which is where he was just a month ago, which once again he ripped up as well. He can just flat out rake it. There's no question there. I do expect him to be on the opening day roster next year, now that third base spot is wide open. There's no reason to leave him down in the minors anymore. And I agree with you as well, Rob. You lock him up as soon as you can. After every year he plays, they should be going to him and saying, hey, let's talk long term. After his rookie year, let's talk long term. Nope, second, let's talk long term until you get a yes out of him. All right, and keep him until at least he's 30.
KP, I look at the Toronto Blue Jays right now. Obviously, youth movement, it's front and center. Right now, the Toronto Blue Jays don't have a manager. Are you hiring a manager specifically for the youth movement, or are you hiring best manager available?
I think, Rob, you got to go with a manager who's going to be there to help develop these young players, and hopefully, to help them through and be there when these guys, hopefully, the team in general becomes a winning ball club. I think that's the route that they should go. I mean, I think if they're looking for a big name guy, it's going to be a tough sell for any, veteran manager who's got the credentials to want to go to a losing proposition, because we know that in the American League East they've got no shot with Boston, New York. There's no shot at winning the division or making the playoffs. Like a veteran manager who's done it all, it would be hard to kind of get a guy like that to want to go there and manage in Toronto. The other thing with talking about the stats in the Arizona Fall League, I think again, as Lou and Nal alluded to, you can't really take those stats seriously because of the level of opposition. It's not. It's not AAA level, it's not the big league level, and players in the big leagues have said there's a big difference between the levels, getting to the majors. So, but I would still have Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Be on the opening day roster in 2019.
Eric Wedge, is he the front runner? I mean, he's a guy that has paid his dues. You grimace, but the reality is he's got major league experience. He's worked with the Indians, and he has toiled in the Blue Jays minor league complex for, 3 years now? I think you got to give him a serious look, because he's been one of the henchmen that has gotten your youth. He knows the minor league system better than anybody when you think about it, because he is essentially working along with Gil Kim. He's working with all those guys to get these guys organized, set up, and now all of a sudden can go and look Shapiro and Atkins in the eye and say, dude, there's nobody that knows your system better than me.
Maybe for the next manager, depending on how long he wants to stay in the system, because the truth of the matter is whoever they name as the next manager right now is going to be there for 2, 3, 4 years and will get fired. I mean, that's the truth. Unless his team makes some kind of massive leap, and then they'll go forward and look for, quote unquote, a winning type manager. I don't think it's the right thing to do, but I can totally see that. I think you want a guy who is going to be not just a manager, but also be a coach as well, because you're going to have a very, very, very young team that is going to have a lot of days that just do not go well. And you need someone who can relate to the young player, keep them encouraged, and let them know that it's going to get better and not to get down themselves. The object isn't to win, it's to become better.
I'm a little surprised that John Farrell's name hasn't subsided by now. I'm really surprised. He's still on the board. And I guess you have to have a guy with that kind of experience on the board. But and don't say no, because
tone deaf.
But they brought back John Gibbons, much to the eyebrow raising of a lot of people in Blue Jay Nation.
Totally different story.
It is, but it's not to say that it can't be done.
Gibbons didn't leave for his dream job.
And then when the dream job didn't work out, but you got to think of what's coming up for the Blue Jays. You've got guys like TJ Zoik. You've got Nate Pearson. You've already got Stroman and Sanchez in house. He's pitching first guy. I mean, I'm just saying. All right.
What about Paul Molitor?
I think it's a flashy name. I don't think it's the guy. I also don't think Joe Girardi, Mike Matheny. I don't like those guys either. No. I think it's going to be a Latin manager. I really do. You know a name that I heard through the grapevine that I didn't even think was on the radar? Everybody's talking about Sandy Alomar Jr. What about Roberto?
Yeah,
already within the organization, Hall of Famer, Latin, a lot of young respect, and you've got a Hall of Famer. You got to remember what the core of the Blue Jays' future is next year. You got a Hall of Fame potential third baseman, shortstop, second baseman. Who would you want training your guys than a Hall of Famer that speaks the language that you're looking for?
Interesting.
Not for sure, but an interesting name that's kind of lingering on the outside, who's already underneath Rogers Center's dome. All right, that is Lou Filippo, Nilo Donahoe, KPW. Thank you so much for making us part of your evening tonight. Andy Cole, thank you as well. The Broccoli Buster, the Double Cheese Buster. When we come back next week, it's going to be even a later start time. I think we start at 8:30. Well, maybe it'll be 8:30 again.
9:30, I think.
Why don't we just start at like 2 in the morning? We'll come home from the Rocks. We figured out same amount of listeners.
Let's do a remote.
You know what? Let's just do smoke signals from different parts of the city. But congratulations to all of our winners tonight that decided to dial us up around 9 o'clock. Congrats to the Vancouver Canucks as well. Good on the boys. They're 2-2 through 4 games. Besser scores, Pettersson scores. Life's so very good. By the way, the Leafs won 5-3 over the Red Wings, but well, neither here nor there. On behalf of everybody back at Nat Bailey Stadium, don't forget, circle your calendar. Friday, January 25th, it'll be the 9th annual Hot Stove Lunch. And go to CanadiansBaseball.com for more information on that. And we will be back in 1 week's time doing Vancouver Canadians Game Day, powered by Booster Juice, as always, right here on the mighty TSN 1040. Good night, everybody.